Oh, you got her, dude. She's down.
Let's go.
Dude, I just shot a deer of a lifetime.
Freaking smoked him.
One with nature, and if you're a believer, one with God.
Definitely gets your heart pumping. Boy, you are in trouble.
Fall Obsession Podcast.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to another Fall Obsession Podcast. I am Sam. I'm your host for this week's episode. I'm sitting in veteran hunt camp for our 2022 season with our hunt host, Waylan Langford. Welcome back. And our veteran hunt giveaway winner, Mike Demshock, for 2022. Welcome to the podcast, Mike.
Thank you very much.
Man, I love recording in person. Waylan knows this. It's my favorite method to record with our guests. I love recording virtually, but sitting down, especially in hunting camp with across the table from somebody is the best way to do it. So
Yeah, much better.
yeah, it's been a minute since you were on here as well, so good to have you back. But Mike, this weekend we want to get you out here. We want to get you in the woods. We want to get you having a good time and everything. To start off our conversation, tell our listeners just a little bit about yourself and where you're from and what you do.
All right. Well, live out in Rome, Texas right now. Work for the railroad and spent 5 years as a Marine Air Traffic Controller stationed in Beaufort, South Carolina. And one of the things that, I guess the reason why I'm here is what I do is I have a pay it forward mentality when it comes to veterans benefits. So back in the day, probably, 5 years ago, I had a veteran help me get through the VA benefits process. Just, firsthand information, really help. Not doing it for me, helping me get through it. And he told me, I tried to buy him a bottle of bourbon one time, and he was like, nope, I don't want anything, just pay it forward. And that's been my mentality ever since. Just help people as much as you can and make them do it for themselves, but give them the guidance while they do it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why I'm here. That's why Mike put me on the list. So
Yeah.
but
Well, and to that point, you talk about the reason that you are here. It has left a big enough impression with those that you have helped for one of those gentlemen to find it fitting to write you in for this veteran hunt. Because the way that we run the hunt, as Waylan knows, is it's you can apply yourself as a veteran or nominate somebody else. And we had another gentleman nominate you, which was really, really cool, and I know his nomination said a lot about you, and it's a very cool thing that you're doing. And from my understanding, that whole process of, and I have zero experience with it myself, but that, the VA process and everything like that is very, can be very challenging if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, it can be a little convoluted. There's a lot of things that veterans need to know or they need to do, or, sometimes it's just as simple as knowing the keywords that the VA is looking for when you go in and do your claims. And, you could have all the issues in the world, but if you don't use the right wording, then you get denied for stuff. And that's kind of what it's all about, is using the experiences that I have to help those other veterans and make it easier for them to get through the process.
Yeah.
Right? And then hopefully those veterans, and a lot of them are, take that forward and use those experiences to help other veterans, right? Yeah. And that's what the veterans community is about. That's what all of the organizations that are out there are about, veterans helping veterans, and that's one of the mentalities that I live by.
That's awesome.
It is cool.
Very, very cool to do it in your small circle and with your immediate community, I guess I should say. It's awesome that you're doing that. And I'm not a veteran, but I do appreciate it. It's very well recognized for sure. So, but this weekend we're hunting.
Yes,
And
we are.
we've been hunting we've been hunting a little bit. So, I know a long time ago, Waylan, you and I recorded a podcast with a couple other folks on here, and we talked about the uniqueness of where we're at right now.
Right.
We have a lot of new viewers, new listeners since that time. So, tell us a little bit about where we're at.
Okay. I was invited out here many moons ago to come and look at this lease to get on. So I drove all the way out to Vernon, Texas, and they said, this is it. I'm looking at a 1,000-acre wheat field. That's it. I said, oh, and it was my best friend, and I said, okay, quit joking. I'm here for business. Let's go see it. This is it. Put your stand right here in the middle of this 1,000-acre wheat field. Yeah. No. So I didn't get on it. I said no. And then come deer season, I think I was hunting in Llano. But come deer season, they started sending me these pictures of the deer they're killing. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I tried to get on. I'm on. Well, we ain't got a spot for you now. Come on, man. Nope, ain't got a spot. So I finally got a spot 5 miles from them. Still, 1,000-acre wheat field. My opening morning, I thought, okay, they just took my money. There ain't gonna be any deer here. But sure enough, some of the biggest deer I've ever seen in my life come out of a 1,000-acre wheat field. I don't know how they do it, but yeah. If there's a small patch of woods close, that's where they are. And it's a honey hole because a lot of people, just like myself, that day say that, yeah, there's no deer here. They can't survive out here. But if you go back and look, I'm testament of how big the deer are out here.
Yeah.
It's unique hunting because you're basically sitting in a wheat field looking at a little patch of woods that may have a small creek through it, and that's basically it. It's a 1,000-acre wheat field everywhere you look, but yet you'll be sitting there and you can see the dust devil from them running before you can actually see the deer. They're so far out there, and they come in from where, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's the hunting out here is you sit and you stare at a 1,000-acre wheat field watching the grass grow.
That's the way it's felt all weekend.
Well, it's kind of like I was telling.
And it's cold.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, it may not say it's cold on the app, the weather app, but it's cold.
Well, it's kind of like I was telling you driving out here. You know, I was like, hey, we'll pull up. You might not think anything of it. It might not feel like deer camper where you would traditionally think of, you know, the prime hunting spot being, but there's been big deer killed out here. I mean, one of them is the photo right behind us of your dad, you know, with one of his best deer, which is a really awesome picture. And I know you have you can tell our listeners just real briefly about your buck of a lifetime that has come off this place as well.
Buck of a lifetime. Probably never see another buck like that again. I was in the right place at the right time. I can't say I'm Mr. all-around hunter. I just happened to be lucky. But he scored 204 and 5/8. He holds the county record, and he's the number one in the state as far as District 2, Division 2, which is North Texas, kind of West Texas area.
Yeah.
He's still number one.
Wow.
And I shot him back in 2013 to 14 season.
Wow.
But yeah, he holds the county record out here.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So what have been your your thoughts and impressions coming into this. And well, let's back up first
Let's start with this. He told me when we started this hunt that we were going to break that record. We've got 1 day left. We've got 3 hours of hunting, and I haven't seen it.
Hey, it ain't done. We ain't done yet. We ain't done yet.
You never know. He didn't think that 204 would walk out in front of him.
Sure didn't.
All right, so I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So backing up and back to briefly to the veteran giveaway and you being nominated by another individual, that's where this experience began for you, was with that phone call. So from that point, kind of give us your thoughts going into this event.
Well, it was kind of weird because, like, I was talking to Waylan earlier today about it, and I was like, he was asking me, what I thought, and I was like, well, when I talked to Mike about it, when he had nominated me originally, I really didn't know much about it. He just kind of offhanded, said, hey, I put you in for this thing, and I was like, all right, well, I never win anything.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm not the guy that wins stuff.
Yeah.
Especially hunting stuff. I'm the world's worst hunter. Like, it's a fact.
And you want a 200 deer?
Yeah, hey. So I got the phone call and I was like, all right, well, I guess, sure. I just got to figure out how to get off of work, right? So I ended up getting off of work and, set it up. You live literally like 20 minutes. It's on the way out here.
Yeah,
Drives by my house every day when he comes out, or every time he comes out here, or anytime he comes out this way. He's got to drive by my house, so picked me up at my house, and the guy that put me in, he helped me set my rifle in before I came out here, which was nice. I haven't sighted that rifle in probably 3 years. It's been a long time since I've been hunting. Do a lot more tactical shooting and handgun shooting and stuff like that. Go to ranges, go out to my sister's ranch, so on and so forth, but not a lot of hunting.
Yeah.
A little bit more sport shooting, I guess we would call it. But so I went out, sighted the rifle in, and kind of got my gear together, and now here we are.
Yeah.
Well, he probably told you right off the bat, this isn't a 5-star
You know what?
outfitter.
This is way better than what I expected.
Well, that was going to be my question is, what did you expect?
Yeah.
Well, was you thinking hunting lodge with a big fireplace?
No.
Chef.
I was expecting like a little.
A tent.
No, I was. Well, he said it was. He didn't say it was a tent, so I was expecting. I was like, all right, well, it's some double wide out on some dude's property with no heat and no electric.
I should start telling people it's a 10 next year. That way they're
So here we
pleasantly
are
surprised.
at the Taj Mahal.
No.
Yeah, if you tell them it's a tent and they come out here and say, oh, this is a house. Hey, that makes us look even that much better.
Exactly.
No. Last guy kept complaining about how cold it was.
Let me tell you, it's cold. All right. I'm a cold dude.
I think it was 50 today.
Yeah.
No, inside the house.
Inside the house. Now you're not making the house sound so nice.
I mean, it's what? 60 years old? Probably?
Oh.
Maybe a little older than that.
Older than that, ain't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
If y'all can see it, that's the furnace. So
Yeah.
Which was put in just a few years ago.
It worked great.
But to your point,
it's fantastic here. This is better than what you can imagine for, a hunting weekend cabin. Like, this is way better than I expected it.
Well, when I was taking you for the first time to show you, dropping you off to where you were going to actually hunt, and we were driving down that rock road, and I was like, yep, this is it. What were you thinking at that point?
it's kind of hit or miss for me because I've hunted in different areas. I'm a really bad hunter. Let me start with that again.
We're gonna have to touch on this here in a minute. So,
But
He keeps
I've
bringing
been-
that up.
I know,
I've
yeah.
been hunting in a lot of places. I grew up in New Jersey, so I've done the northeast hunting, different type of deer, different type of hunting. You don't feed, you don't do any of that kind of stuff. My sister's got a ranch out in Graham. I've done hunting out there, and that's more this style hunting, but that's cattle ranch land, where this is farm wheat land. So, I mean, it's similar to what we do out in Graham, but it's not the same because the streams and stuff that you have running through the property here for the farms gives you those oases that
Yes.
you guys are
Yeah.
hunting, those little islands of of trees and stuff like that where you don't see that at my sister's property.
Gotcha.
But to get to the point of me being a really bad hunter, I haven't shot a deer in like probably 18 years. I'm not lying. And I've been hunting many, many times.
That would have been nice to know.
Not
on the
many
first
like
day.
not many like these guys, but I mean, you know, it's probably been I've been out on my sister's property. I've been here 12 years. I've probably been out there, I don't know, 7 or 8 times, and saw like maybe 7 or 8 doe the entire.
we're sitting in the stand the first evening, which was a slower evening until, and we'll get to it here in a second, until that one deer showed up. And Mike's looking out the window and he just kind of quietly says, "No," something along, I don't remember exact words, but something along the lines of, "No deer, just my luck. I never see deer when I go hunting." And I'm like, well, we're going to have to change that this weekend. That's not going to fly.
That's pretty much what I said. I was like, this is me hunting. Like,
Yeah.
I
that
come
was
out
it.
here, I sit in a blind for 4 or 5 hours. We see nothing, and I go home with a smile on my face because I got 4 or 5 hours of peace and quiet.
Yeah.
Just nothing. Just the sound of nature, which I'm okay with that. That's a good hunting trip to me. So, if you don't shoot anything, you don't shoot anything. That's not what hunting's about.
Yeah.
That first night was pretty slow.
Yeah.
But
Well, and the first evening, then you, at least it was a first for me observing what happened. But we actually saw a deer that had already been shot. Was the first deer that we got to see this trip, which was very, very surprising. And I made a comment to you. I was like, you know, because he was a decent buck coming across this field from a adjoining property, and it was obvious that he'd been shot and blood running down his leg. And you know, normally when you see a decent deer, you get a little excited, and you know, you're starting to think, all right, am I going to shoot him? Am I going to not? And it was a weird feeling for me, even as a producer with you. I'm not even the hunter, and I'm thinking, what do you do? What do you do? What am I supposed to do with this? It was a very confused feeling for me. I've never felt that way before.
there was no excitement in it, right?
Yeah.
There was no like. I think if the deer had not already been shot, there would have been excitement because it was definitely a deer that was worth taking, right?
It was a good buck. Yeah.
It looked good, especially from the profile, and
And to be the first deer you saw too.
yeah, it was the first deer that we saw, and then it comes across injured and already shot, and it kind of like, in your head, you're like, well, I should probably shoot this deer just so that it doesn't suffer.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what we're thinking the whole time that it's coming across, like, as it's coming into range is, you know what? That might be my one tag here, but it's the right thing
It's
to do.
the ethical thing
It's
to do.
the
Yeah.
right thing to do is to take this deer.
Yeah.
And then, well,
You got it.
No,
We ain't stopping
I'll let you
there.
tell that part.
I mean, so it comes across, And we're sitting in a blind. For the listeners that don't really know kind of how this blind is set up, it's a blind sitting looking at a feeder. The feeder's sitting at, 100 yards?
A little over 100.
Little
yeah.
over
20?
100, yeah.
Okay. And the tree line comes across, and the corner probably starts at 200, and it gets a little bit closer as it comes across. So as you get closer, there's a barbed wire fence that runs directly down, probably 5 feet off of the feeder to 5 feet off of the blind.
Yeah, I mean, you're right on the edge of a wheat field.
And
the wheat fields are fenced.
Yeah, that has the barbed wire fence. And the tree line's to the right and the barbed wire's to the left. And this deer comes across, and it finally gets within, a good solid, I'm not going to miss this shot, probably 120 yards.
Yeah.
130.
Somewhere
in there. And I line up, I'm spot on, I take the shot, and this deer looks up and it goes like this, and I'm like, what happened?
It didn't budge.
It didn't even move. It didn't even know that I shot at it. And I'm still looking down the scope, and I can't see anything going on. And he takes his eyes away from the binoculars, and the barbed wire is just doing this. And he's like, and I don't even know at this time. And I'm like, what happened? And he's like, you shot the barbed wire. But I didn't break the barbed wire.
That was amazing.
I just nicked it enough to offset the trajectory of my bullet that I didn't drop the deer. And then by the time I got a chance to even think about how insane that was and rack another bullet, the deer was gone.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I was not able to accommodate what that deer needed, but
Yeah. Well, it happens, and
we tried to do the right thing.
I know I'm sitting in my truck, and ding, the phone goes off, and I look at it, and I think it was, he shot. It was a miss. He hit barbed wire, and my eyes light up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm gonna have to go out there and splice some barbed wire. And then his next text was, oh, by the way, the barbed wire's fine. And I'm thinking in my head, okay, how do you hit barbed wire and it be fine?
I was amazed. It's in the video. We watched the footage multiple times. You see this deer, he shoots, the deer doesn't budge, he just turns and looks at the blind, just like, seriously? Like that's literally how it felt. And the fence just shakes and the wire's spinning. It's like, golly.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, I hate that you missed, and I hate that. I mean, I know deer are tough boogers, but I wish you would have got it just for the ethical thing of putting that thing out so it didn't suffer. But it happens.
Yeah.
It's happened to all of us.
Yeah. And to the point of how tough deer are, I mean, from the time we first saw this deer to the time he disappeared, he covered 500 yards total, probably.
Easy. In
just his path of travel.
Yeah.
And
he bedded down on y'all too.
I was going to mention that. It was very interesting because I've never seen a deer just bed in the middle of the field like that. Smack dab middle of the field, just, nope, I'm tired, I'm laying down.
Yep. That's when you texted that. That's when I really knew that. Oh, this deer is probably hurt really good.
Mm-hmm.
For him to bed down twice like that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how open the locations that he bedded down was until we went back today.
Yeah.
After our morning session, and we went back, and I was looking. I was like, where did this buck bed down at? And I'm looking in the field, and it's just 1 foot, like wheat strands, or maybe it was hay strands or whatever it was last year that's regrowing in those areas. But that's what surprised me. I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is just flat. This is where the winter wheat's at. The winter wheat's all green.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of like the tan hay coming up from last year's seed or this summer's seed or whatever, and that's where he was bedding down at.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was no cover, there was no nothing.
No, it was purely he just had to go down right there at that moment. He was that weak.
Yeah.
But So we had that interesting encounter the first evening, saw a few doe right before dark, and then that took us into this morning, which also was a little underwhelming, I guess. Just only a few deer saw, at least in my opinion. Just we're seeing, and granted, I haven't hunted out here like Waylan has, but comparing it from to last year and everything, I was thinking of our experience with Mark and everything, and I guess part of it too is me sharing the host responsibilities with Waylan too. I want you to have a good experience. I want you to see bucks, and so I'm always like, hope we see a buck. Hope we see a buck. Oh, does again? Golly, But
Does again.
Not that it wasn't like, yes, we were seeing deer, but obviously we want to get you on a buck. So, and that's the intention. But, however, what you were observing from your new stand of choice.
Yes.
is what's determining our hunt spot for this evening we just got done with, and then tomorrow morning. So, yeah, you're gonna hunt from your truck from now on. Tell us about that.
That's I've set out in the blizzard cold on the ground hunting. That's what I like to do is ground hunt. I got stands when it gets really cold. Go in there, hunting with my son. So, and plus I like the heater in the stands. But I have found out after this weekend, being the host and not hunting, I just pull way out, find me a spot, park in my truck, and I'm just sitting there waiting on y'all to tell me come get you. I think I've seen more deer sitting in my truck than I have the whole time I've been out here. Big buck, and I'm texting y'all, the big buck's over here 80 yards away from me. And he didn't even care that I was sitting there
smoking a cigarette.
He did not care. And I thought it was a fluke. So and that was yesterday. So this afternoon, or this morning, I'm getting mixed up here. Yeah, that was in the morning. So that afternoon, doing the same thing, and see him again. The first time he was like 300 yards away. This time he was 80 yards away. Didn't even care I was there. The does didn't care I was there. And so I've come up with a new theory that, okay, I'm just going to hunt out of a warm truck from now on.
Yeah, so he's seeing the big buck sitting in his truck. We're sitting in the blind, freezing our butt off, and we don't see any doe, any deer whatsoever until we decide to start moving out of the blind and come around the edge because we're tired of looking at nothing.
1,000-acre wheat field.
Well, yeah,
1,000-acre wheat field.
Well, not only that, but then we come out of the blind to change our tactic late morning to come around and start looking at some of the area you're able to see from the truck. And no sooner had we made that corner, you send me a text message of your cell camera showing deer at the feeder we just left.
Yeah,
so.
that's right.
And we scare 4 doe off the corner that we're stalking around. So that didn't help much either.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, it changed our tactic though. So that we got smart. We're like, all right, we're gonna move here, and with your recommendation and everything, we got a spot in that field that you had been seeing all the activity in, and that led to what has been our most eventful hunt certainly so far this trip. So, and another reason I'm really glad that we want to see if you needed a drink there. I'm really glad that we saw the deer that we saw today, because I think it's just setting us up good for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So.
This afternoon into, I guess this evening, was definitely more eventful than we've seen since we've been here.
Yeah.
But it was cold. Let me tell you.
It was cold.
There's nothing fun about sitting at the base of a blind instead of in the blind.
Okay, and true.
Which I don't understand. I was just playing along, and I was going with it because I knew he was trying to like take some photos and stuff. But I'm sitting here, my toes are frozen solid. I am not a big guy. I am skinny, and I was like, why are we sitting out here in the wind and the cold when we're sitting under the blind? I don't understand what is going on here. Like, if he suffers, I gotta suffer his ass.
I guess I never thought about it because you and I had a conversation yesterday when it was just us in the kitchen, and you were telling me like, yeah, that stand's just a one man, so both y'all aren't gonna fit in it. But I guess I never told him.
If I gotta be cold, you gotta be cold, bro. Like,
It's all really a joke. I'm on top of the hill in my nice one truck. Filming y'all. Oh. I didn't think of that either.
I never thought to tell you, man. I did.
I was like, he's not gonna get any photos, but I'm not gonna freeze my butt off.
I offered him the chair out of the blind.
We can go in there and get the chair, but you can't go in there. I gotta get it.
I never thought of this.
Restricted access. You need the pin code.
Well, we weren't in the blind because
Yeah, we weren't in the blind.
because it's a one-man blind. That's why we weren't.
So both of us were sitting on the ground in the cold and the wind. Just to paint the picture for everybody.
We can make adjustments tomorrow.
I didn't think of that.
So when he says we can make adjustments, what he means is he's going to take pictures from inside the tent. And I'm still going to sit at the base of the tent.
And I'm still going to be on top of the hill in my
This guy's still
truck.
going to be in his truck. And they'll be like, listen, bro, if you want a buck, you got to pay your dues, all right? It is what it is.
I am sorry, dude. I never even crossed my mind.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
You shouldn't be sorry.
Oh, I can only imagine what he's thinking the whole time. We're sitting underneath a blind.
Yeah.
Why are we sitting underneath a blind?
Oh, in my head, I'm going, bro, we can cuddle. Like, I'm okay. My wife ain't gonna be mad, and I ain't gonna be upset. Like,
Just get me in that blind.
like, I mean, I get it. If your wife's upset, that's fine. Sit outside. But if your wife's not gonna be upset, and my wife's not gonna be upset, we're snuggling, bro. Like, let's get warm.
Oh, God.
Oh my word. Maybe that's what we did wrong.
So anyway, cold.
Yeah, we're cold on the ground underneath the blind. So, but we did see quite a few deer, and we got in there early, and the deer were moving pretty promptly after we got in there. We got in there.
No, they
around...
weren't.
No, they weren't.
No. We got there at like 2:00, and I would say we didn't see a single deer until 4.
Oh, it was
3:30.
It was sooner than
3:30.
that. We had the deer moving on the far outside, and then those 2 does come out on the left.
Yeah, but that was I guess that counts. All right, I'll count that. They're like 600 yards out. You could barely see them in your binoculars. Does that count? You got 1,000 acres. Does that count?
That counts, man. When we come back and say, oh, yeah, I saw 30 deer today, 3 of them were only on our place.
If I counted every
the other ones
speck
were
that moved
a mile
across,
away.
If you count every speck that moves across the 1,000-acre wheat field, every hunting trip is going to be a good hunting trip. Come on. Nah, but it was good.
It counts.
It counts.
It counts.
Hey, y'all are the experts. So we'll count them. So we started seeing deer at like, I don't know, 3:00 then.
Actually, it was
we saw
1:30 when we were pulling in.
There you go. I was going to give you credit for that too.
All right.
We're going to back up. All right.
We got in there early, yeah.
Hell, you seen about 50 today, didn't you?
But yeah, so we started seeing deer. Most of them were on the other side, probably what's realistically out of range for most hunters, on the other side of the next field.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of movement on that side of the field.
There was. And I think the biggest thing that made the difference in what we saw this evening was the number of bucks. Because leading into this hunt, we had only seen the one injured buck.
One. Yep.
That had been the only buck that we had laid eyes on. You had been observing the buck from your truck, but we'd only seen the one. So we saw more does, definitely, especially toward the end. There was a big group of does out there.
It got really busy by 4:30.
Yeah, the last hour and a half, it was solid activity all the way through. But started seeing smaller deer, one antlered deer. We saw 2 one-antlered deer tonight. I'm good, thank you.
So wait, it started with the doe that came up from our left, from behind you.
Yes, we had 2. We're sitting in the middle of a 1,000-acre wheat field underneath a blind, and we have deer coming in bow range.
Yeah, which is amazing. The doe were coming out of the
They come out of
creek.
Yeah,
That little
tunnels. Yeah,
that little tunnel, and it just came up, and they started, and they came in, and they came out in front of us first, and it's 2 of them, and they're young. They can't be more than 2 years old. They were not old deer. The one darts back into the woods, and the other one is just like super curious, I guess, and comes back around behind us. And mind you, the wind is blowing away from us, so it's blowing.
it's in our face.
It's in our face, and blowing our scent behind us into the 1,000-acre wheat field.
Yeah.
And this deer, instead of coming in front of us into the clearing that's there, it decided it was going to go behind us, and it comes in behind us 40 yards.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so where he's sitting, he's facing the tree line, and he has a good line of vision to his left and his right. Well, where I'm sitting, to the side of the blind that we're sitting underneath, I cannot see to his left as well because it's kind of to my back. I'm more tucked back by the post behind the blind, and so he tells me, he's like, I had glanced over my shoulder a couple times and seen him on the tree line, but he tells me, he's like, yeah, they're coming up around behind you. I was like, oh, okay. And so I slowly glance over my right shoulder, expecting to see him out in the field. No, this deer is 40 yards away from me, walking toward me. And I'm like, what in the world? And no joke, my first thought is my wind's blowing right that direction. Our wind's blowing right that direction. And it was like she hit a brick wall. She was just walking her normal pace, all is good, and then brick wall stop. She caught that scent, and they were gone. Yeah.
Yep.
And we had a couple deer pass by there. The next one that also came within bow range, even closer, was that one antler buck.
Elliot.
Your daughter
called him Elliot.
Yeah.
Caught him on the trail cam and named him.
Apparently, there's only 2 people in this campus that have seen the movie Open Season that knows who Elliot is.
Yeah.
Neither of us are one of them, just so we are clear.
Yeah, so we know how all this is working here. Yeah, so if any of our viewers or listeners have seen Open Season, kudos to you, points for you.
Yep.
So
they know who Elliot is.
Yeah. So this one, we saw 2 one-antler deer tonight, but this one, he started a ways away from us, probably 350 out or so.
Yeah, matter of fact, he started exactly where Waylan said deers never come up. He literally, we were on the truck ride up, and I was like, I'm like, he said they come out over here, and I was like, all right. And he said they go back in over here. I was like, did they ever come back across? Did they come across the field ever? He's like, nope, never seen them come across the field before.
Well,
Deer comes up right where Waylan said he's going to come up, comes across, walks the fence line a little bit, and then
beeline right
sure
to us.
than nothing, dude comes right across the field, right where Waylan said. They never come. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, this is a joke, right?
Deer comes right to us, 30 yards,
Yeah.
walks around, gets dead downwind from us, and
Oh my God.
he stood there for a while just kind of staring at us, took a few steps toward us, and then just walked away. He
If
didn't
you were
care.
a bow hunter, like,
Oh, if I was a bow hunter, that's
well, you are a bow hunter.
if I was
Majority.
bow
But
if I
if you
was
were
bow
bow
hunting
hunting, that's
underneath the
like-
blind, then yeah,
That's
that would have
like
been my
the-
opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, just that deer's behavior on the fence line too. I made the comment to you. I was like, "That's what we need a buck to do," because before he got 30 yards away from us, there were plenty of shot opportunities. That's what we were hoping
tons.
that any buck that came out would do what he did. So
Waylan will get that one next year.
maybe he's got potential.
Yeah.
So that wasn't the end of it. We saw plenty more bucks.
Yeah.
Kind of, I don't know.
It was an eventful night.
Yeah.
Or an eventful evening hunt.
We did not see or confirm see we saw some bucks chasing way off in the distance, but we did not see the target buck that you've had your eyes on a couple days now. So hopefully that's what will be different in the morning, is we might get a crack
It
at
will.
that deer. So
Yeah.
that's what we're
It'll
hoping
show
for.
up.
We did have a 3-pointer and I guess a nice 8-pointer,
Yeah.
but it was a narrow 8-pointer sitting at the feeder at the same time.
Yeah.
So we had those, and just wasn't the right buck to shoot at the time.
Yeah.
But and then we had one guy scurry across the field that we didn't get a really good look at. I think that was our boy,
Yeah.
but we didn't have enough. It definitely didn't come in range for us to even have
Yeah.
a remote shot at it. Came across, took a hop or two, made a couple second stop, and then started moving away from us. So it wasn't, unless you were lined up on it when it came across, there was no shot on it.
Yeah.
And you never had a chance to verify that it was big enough or the right deer.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but that's hunting, right?
Yeah.
It'll be there
So we got one more hunt.
tomorrow morning.
In typical, I guess what's becoming typical fall obsession fashion, we're going to bring it down to the wire every
Right to
time.
the last
So
minute.
that's what happened last year with Mark. We're going to take it down to the wire with you too. So
I like it.
hopefully we get it done.
And I remember with Mark, it was hot. There's 2 days, and then on that third day, it was cold.
It's going to be cold
It
tomorrow morning.
was
It
cold.
won't be that cold.
It was cold both mornings with Mark. It was colder the first morning because I didn't turn on the heater. I about froze Mark out of that blind the first morning, and the second morning you were like, you can turn that heater on, right? I was like, okay. So the second morning we turned that heater and that blind on, and it wasn't as bad. But when Mark was down here, it was probably 20s and 30s were the
Yeah.
lows. So it was
Oh, that would be miserable.
it was cold.
I'm not a cold.
And that wind was just blowing. That last day.
There, when we took pictures with Mark with his deer, we took pictures with him. We got a picture of him and Waylan, and then Waylan took a picture of Mark and I with the deer. I've never posted that picture of Mark and I because I look like a hobo with how many layers I have on and all the different colors. I got like 7 jackets on. This bright blue beanie, because that's the only beanie I had with me. It was just I looked like a homeless person. I was like, no, that's not going on
I don't
on
wanna
the
hear
website.
It was 45 this morning. I wore 4 pairs of pants out there.
Hey man, you gotta do what you gotta do. That's
It
what
was
I did last year. So
50 when we walked out this morning
Yeah.
to the truck and loaded our stuff up. It was 50. It was probably 45, 48 when we were at the blind.
I know you keep saying how cold it is, and I'm like, dude, if you only knew.
Man.
says the guy that was sitting in his truck.
Yeah. I'll take 110 any day of the week.
Oh,
I'm the
I'm
opposite,
that kind
man.
of guy.
I'm the opposite, but well, man, I hope that we have some luck in the morning. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good hunt. We've been playing cat and mouse with the rain a little bit. Not that there's much to that game when it comes to rain, but we've been lucky that it's laid off
Yeah.
as much as it has. But tomorrow morning, I think is going to be a good morning out there. So hopefully we'll get it done. But obviously we like to be recording a podcast in camp with a successful story. We did the best we could, but
Well, you'll have a successful follow-up.
successful follow-up, and the video
the
will
story.
obviously show the success. So,
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
and maybe we'll have to get cozy in the morning in the one-man blind. We'll see. So.
Let me know.
We're
so I can
definitely
film
going to
it.
take it.
Hey, maybe if we get in the blind together, we'll be more comfortable. And since you always see the deer from your truck, maybe if you park right next to us.
I got a better idea. Y'all get in the blind, and I'm getting in the truck.
Yeah, the deer comes to the truck. Let's just leave him in the pickup.
I'm just saying.
Well, man, it's been fun having you out here. I look forward to this trip last year and again this year. It's always a good time to get out here and hang out. And we got other guys in camp with us this year too, which is even more fun in my mind. I know y'all aren't on the video or anything, but I appreciate y'all letting us record podcasts but share camp with you as your guests. So it's much appreciated. So thank y'all. But hope you get a big one tomorrow, man. And if you do, for sure, we'll be doing a follow-up on that one. So,
Absolutely.
But we enjoyed having you here and appreciate your, not to sound cliche, but appreciate your service to the military, and then also what you do for other veterans out there to help them as well. We really do appreciate that. So
Absolutely. I just want to say thank you to Sam and Waylan and our other guests. Excuse me. The other guests here at camp. It's been a fantastic time. Even if I don't get anything, this was a weekend to remember. All right. I've had a fantastic time. I appreciate follow-up sessions and everything that y'all are doing for the veteran community. And hopefully y'all get a chance next year to do the same. Really great opportunity for everybody. And just for the veterans out there that are listening, remember, you are the ones that are going to be there for the other veterans, right? We are a community. Be there for each other. Doesn't matter what is needed. I mean, all these organizations, they're based around the same thing. Veterans helping veterans get through things, all right? So whether it's helping somebody with issues that they're having or helping them get through their VA benefits or whatever it is, we're a team, we're a family, all right? So that's all. That's
awesome.
that's my motto. Is we're here for each other. We were a family when we were in the military. We're a family now.
Yeah.
So it's just a bigger family because all the veterans are veterans from all the different services.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So
awesome. Very well said.
thank you both.
Yes, sir.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. Waylan, thank you. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
We'll do it sooner rather than later next time. For our listeners out there, viewers, thank y'all for tuning in. If you haven't already, whatever platform you're listening on, be sure that you like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. We're on all major podcast platforms as well as YouTube and Carbon TV. Website is fallobsession.com. Go check us out, explore around on there. All the social media platforms, be sure you follow. We do daily posts, multiple new videos on the YouTube channel every week. We're working hard to give you guys hunting and outdoor content on a daily and weekly basis in certain avenues, so be sure you go check us out. Ridge Rock Hunt Company is the podcast partner. Derek and Lacey in Mississippi. They do a great job booking hunts with vetted outfitters across the country. So if you're looking for an experience that you've been saving up for, or that bucket list hunt, give Derek a call. He'll work with you on licensing, timeline, budget, all that good stuff, and set you up with a vetted outfitter. So Ridge Rock Hunt Company, go check them out. Gentlemen, I enjoyed it. In-person podcast, by far my favorite. Nothing quite like it. So thank you both for joining me this evening. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we're back next Monday as always for another episode, and we'll catch you then.